Hey guys, so I wanted to do something a little different today. I was browsing at Half Price Books the other day with Christopher in the clearance section, and this one was there for $1. And I normally get books from like Goodwill and places like that to alter, but I never really see anything, this pretty with the gold foiling. And so I thought this would make a really great altered book, and I've been wanting to do one of those for a while anyway. Using Johanna Klo. I'm not sure how you say her last name, but she has her own YouTube channel here, and I will link the tutorial that I'm using to alter this. But I wanted to do it in steps, so this will probably just be a part one. I'm going to show you guys to start with some of the products that I'm using. The base collection is going to be the Maggie Holmes open book. I am trying to use up my paper pads, and so I have 2 of these, and I really need to use them up. I am also going to be supplementing. I have a 6x6 bloom, and then I have a bunch of paper pads that would probably coordinate, like the Meant to Be Fab from Paper Studio, Hobby Lobby, the XOXO, the Pretty Petals. Here's a pink paisley Bella Rouge paper pad. And then I also have a pink paisley Pen Pals and a pink paisley switchboard. So I'm trying to use up these papers because I've had them forever and they're just sitting here and they're not being used. And also I'd really like to start using up my stash and kind of condensing it down so it doesn't take over my entire apartment. So I'm going to get started on this, and I'm going to switch over to some music. But like I said, this will be part one where I kind of am constructing the base part of the book, and then I'll go through, add some pages back in. I'll even show you how I'm going to kind of embellish some of the pages as well later on using the scraps. So enjoy. And like I said, stay tuned for later parts of this project. Alright, so you guys saw me putting in some of the pattern papers that I had pulled out from the open book collection, and then some of the coordinating papers that I showed you guys earlier in this video. This is a few days later that I'm filming this part, but I just wanted to kind of show you some of the struggles that I had, I guess, during this process. I started out with, I think, 40 pattern papers that I wanted to include in here. And I'd say probably a third of those didn't make it, and then I had to go back and remove some more. It got way too bulky. You can see some of these weird like gaps where it's kind of warping a little bit, and you can see where some of these pages, you know, they're not half, but you know, they're kind of like a quarter of the way, and they're making it harder to fit things in there. But I'll just kind of flip through and show you guys what I did. For the most part, I folded pattern paper in half and glued it together, attaching it to a lot of these strips here. On some of them, I didn't glue them all the way. I only glued them here and here, and then I cut secretary pockets. So I didn't glue them, you know, 100% to each other in the middle. And then on some of these, I didn't fold it over all the way. I didn't have it go all the way to the spine. I cut it short, and then I did some border punching. These pages helped a lot with alleviating kind of the pressure in the middle. So as I got further and further in, I started to realize it was getting harder and harder to put some of these in. So I started making more pocket pages so that there was more give. And also I started putting in more pages like this. And then eventually, when I got to the very end, there were some papers I wanted to put in. There's another pocket. This one, I wanted it to be front and back, but it was just so bulky, so I ended up kind of just cutting it off and putting in one side, which is okay. I mean, this will be a good place to journal later. It'll be a blank space, and I'm really bad about, you know, I want to include all the pretty things, and I never leave myself some blank space to actually journal. So that will actually be good. And then I plan on kind of gessoing some of these pages so that I can write over them as well, just to kind of take away. So I do have some concerns about this. This is the first altered book that I've done. I am worried, you know, in these places where I had to tear it out closer to the spine. There's a place in here kind of close to the front where I had to remove one of these, and I had to remove several papers that were next to each other, pages that were next to each other, and it left, here we go. You can see it left a huge gap, and you can see into the spine. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but like I said, this is one of my first one of these. I'm learning as I go. I plan to make some more, and this one will be for me personally. I probably won't give this one as a gift, just because, you know, this is kind of like my training wheels book. I'm learning what's going to work for this and what's not going to work for this, so I'll know next time, you know, how many pages to remove, where to remove them, and how to put these pattern papers in so it doesn't create such a bulky spine or a bulky inside. And you can kind of see, I don't know if you can actually see it, it's kind of hard to even like get this to lay flat, and there's like a bump right here. So we'll see how this goes. Like I said, this is going to be a personal journal for me, or not journal, it's probably going to be more of an album. I have a journal already, and I don't like having two of them going at the same time. I like to fill a book before I start a new one, but I really want to use this. So I was thinking about this quite a bit yesterday, trying to figure out, you know, how would I use this. I have so many family photos from when I was younger, from the 80s and the 90s, and every time I see my mom, I feel like she's giving me another bag of photos. So what I'm going to do, I think, is use this as kind of like a memories album. In my current journal, I journal about events that are happening presently, and I think I'll use this occasionally, maybe when I don't have something to journal about in my current journal, but I'm in the mood. What I'll do is I'll probably pick out a photo and put it in here somewhere, and then kind of journal about it and talk about it, kind of tell the story of what's happening there. So that is it for part one of this book. The second part in this series, what I'm going to do is go through and prep this a little bit further. and you'll see that process. What I'll probably start doing, you know, is adding maybe like some border strips, adding a few embellishments here and there, and then also kind of just decorating some of these pages. I'm probably going to go through and gesso some of these, maybe tear out some more. I'm not sure, but you'll see, you know, that I'm going to play around with this a bit more. In that process, you know, I might find that I have to reinforce some of these pages, tape them up. Not sure, but we'll see. Also in part 2, most likely, I removed the ribbon on the inside because not only was it wonky and it only seemed to, you know, it was attached like right here. It only seemed to reach these front pages, but it just didn't go. And so what I'm going to do is find another ribbon and probably attach that closer to the center so that I can use it. I'll probably put a charm at the end as well to give it some weight so that it doesn't always try and fly out of the book like this one did. I had a hard time getting it to stay. Alright, so I'll see you guys for part 2. Toodles!